All righty. Yo, yo. Let's go, let's go. It's the Great Debate Show. Back off in this biatch for a new episode. We got another one. Jarvis Jeffries here, your host. Terrance Smith, Nick Ely.
Gang.
We're doing this thing virtually. Episode 3 of season number 5. If you missed episode 2, I hit you with a Labor Day special on yesterday. And I pretty much just, gave you a recap of college football, week 1. Talked about Brian Kelly and how overrated he is over there at LSU. Should they start looking in the mirror or thinking about replacing him? Also, Florida State. I didn't get to talk about them. They hadn't played yet. But, Mike Norvell and whatever his name is, the guy from Memphis, going back to Memphis, or he's about to play his former team, Memphis, next week. Florida State 0-2. What a terrible start for them in this season. And then there's Brian Kelly, as I said, LSU, they lost. We saw Florida State lose again. And Lincoln Riley got a win. A lot of criticism for him at USC. Maybe he has silenced those critics just for a little bit. Those are some of the things I talked about. Also on why we should get off of Lamar Jackson's back, because I think he's being criticized a little bit too much, and I don't think it's fair. It is okay for you to tell me that the Baltimore Ravens is Super Bowl or bust this season, but it's not okay for you to tell me Lamar Jackson is Super Bowl or bust. There's 52 other men on this roster, not to mention a head coach that I think does absolutely nothing for the team. So I had to just, take some of the heat off of Lamar Jackson and give my reasons, my opinions and thoughts on why he did the same thing every other quarterback did last year in the postseason and played Patrick Mahomes, and that's lost to him. Like, that happens to everybody, like the Josh Allens and all of them, but they don't get the same criticism that you. Now, we did get some criticism about Josh Allen, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow when we get to the AFC East. 11 or 12 anonymous NFL players voted that Josh Allen is overrated. Some people think that was crazy. I'm going to tell you why tomorrow, why it's not that crazy, especially with the loss of Stephon Diggs in that lineup. But that's neither here nor there. Right now, you can go back and listen to that episode. I talked about it. Check it out. It's the last previous episode, Labor Day Football Fever. Check it out. Now, we're doing NFC predictions with Terrance and Nick. I did mine already on yesterday, so this should speed the process up a bit. We're starting with the NFC West. Then we're going to go to the NFC South, the East, and the North, because, I think the North is the best, and, you're supposed to save the best for last. It is a lot of good teams in the NFC North. It's very, very hard to predict, in my opinion, because I think some teams are going to just do some things that people may not expect them to do. Like the
I got a question, Jarvis. Is the entire list in order of where you think the divisions are going to rank, or is it just saving the best for last?
That's exactly the way I think it's going to rank out.
Really? You think the NFC West is better than the South? I mean, it's worse than the South?
This year, I wouldn't say worse, but the Falcons will be better. I don't think the Buccaneers are going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers are the only team where I don't really know if there's going to be any progression at all. But there's the New Orleans Saints. No, the South isn't better than the West. It's not. And that's because I think the Cardinals are going to be better than the Saints and the Panthers. So, yeah, you're right. No, the South isn't better than the West. I don't think
All right, I was just checking. I didn't know we was on the same page with that or not, because you broke it down exactly the way I'm looking at it. I'm like, the Cardinals are better than both of those teams at the bottom of the South. So,
They are.
all right, we're on the same page. Rare occurrence, we're on the same page.
But so if you want, we can start with the NFC South then and work our way to the West.
That's fine either way. I just when I heard you say, I was like, let me just ask this question. I'm just curious.
No, but you're right. You're absolutely right. The South is probably still the worst. Let's start with the NFC South then, guys. I switched it up yesterday, and I picked the Atlanta Falcons to win that division, mainly because Kirk Cousins is there. And I'm just thinking about how, even though he's coming off of a torn Achilles, he didn't really scramble or move around a lot, guys. He didn't really do a lot of different things. He can stay in the pocket, and he can slice and dice. I know he can, do some some ill things like, why did you do that? What was you thinking? At some of the most inopportune times, but for the most part, he's going to be a 4,000-yard passer. He's going to throw 30 touchdowns or somewhere close to it, or over 30 touchdowns. And, he's going to be efficient. I think the Falcons will be everything they should have been last year. But they had Desmond Ritter at quarterback, and then they had Taylor Heineke, and they didn't know if they wanted him. They were in and out, and Arthur Smith was the coach / play caller or whatever, and it just didn't work out. Arthur Smith is in Pittsburgh. We'll talk about them tomorrow. But now focus on the South. I picked the Falcons because I think they drafted a good quarterback who is going to be ready when his number is called. And until then, they've got a great bridge quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who is like the GOAT when it comes to like quarterback contracts. He'll never be the GOAT as far as his play, but he has gotten paid probably more than any quarterback in the history of the NFL. I think the Falcons, with Kyle Pitts and Drake London and all those guys, man, it's going to be – I think they can really do it if they can play defense. So I'm going on a limb here to say that the Falcons can overcome a slightly weak defense, but I hear it will be better, especially their head coach being a defensive guy. So Atlanta's my pick to take the crown from the Buccaneers, even though I think the Buccaneers are still going to be pretty good. Nick, I'm going to let you start first. You're an NFC guy, just like myself. Give me your predictions on the NFC South, and Terrance, jump in immediately afterwards.
I got you.
Yeah, so I might have tipped my hand a little bit, I guess, there in the beginning. Was saying that I thought the Cardinals were better than both of those teams at the bottom of the South. But I'll go ahead and tell you, obviously, I've got the Panthers at the bottom of the South. I got the Saints finishing third. Yes, I'm finally backing off of the Derek Carr train. I've got the Tampa Bay Bucks finishing second. I think they did a good thing in bringing back Baker Mayfield. The top of this division, I definitely kind of went back and forth on. I will say that Mike Evans obviously has been a model of consistency for 10 years now. Chris Godwin, if he can be healthy, can be definitely an X factor for that team. And I think Baker Mayfield, now that we're getting a more mature and kind of focused version of Baker, I think it can be a serviceably good quarterback. I think the contract they signed him to was pretty appropriate. I think they got him for $30-some-odd million a year. I think that's appropriate for Baker Mayfield, considering where the market is now. But at the end of the day, I ended up with Falcons at number one. I think adding Kirk Cousins was a big deal. I think it'll be able to unlock the weapons that the Falcons have had for a couple years now between Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and then now having added Bijan Robinson last year. I think, with a good quarterback like Kirk Cousins, who I would put probably as a fringe top 10 guy in the league right now, when healthy. Obviously, got the Achilles he's coming back from. I definitely see the Falcons winning that division, and definitely, obviously securing a playoff spot there. I think they'll be the only team from that division to go to the playoffs.
Right. So I just took a peek at Atlanta's schedule, and they start off kind of brutal. They've got Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs, Saints. They should win every win there. Buccaneers, Saints and Buccaneers are both division games. You never know. Panthers division games. Seahawks, who I think will also be pretty good on the offensive end. I don't like the Falcons' chances now. I think Tampa will also take a step back because I think they greatly overachieved in a division that's just terrible anyway. And I have very little faith in the Saints because of the guy you mentioned earlier, and I won't call his name. That leads me to probably our first surprise pick of the year. I see a lot in Carolina. I don't know if you guys saw any of Bryce Young during the preseason, but the dude looked pretty good. Add that to the fact that they did draft some talent and put it around them. I am going to take Carolina to win this division. Not saying they're going to win a whole bunch of games, maybe 9 games, maybe 10, but that'll be enough for Carolina to win the division.
Hey, Terrance, quick question.
So I guess we do have to put these in order. I'm going to go at the very bottom, New Orleans. Then we're going to go Tampa, Atlanta, and Carolina.
Quick question here, Terrance.
Yes, sir.
Who did Carolina play in the preseason?
Doesn't matter. They're NFL players. It's still you guys still got to go out and do well.
I'm just curious. Who they play in the preseason? I literally
They
don't know the
play.
answer. I'm just curious.
Give me 1 second here.
It's the preseason, so
Right, but
I mean, and
I'm going
listen,
somewhere
y'all
with
know how
this.
I am.
okay.
This is coming from a guy whose team went undefeated like 3 years in a row in the preseason. Like I do take it with a grain of salt. But one thing about it, had he played well, we would have made note of that. But they played the Patriots, the Jets, and the Bills. So the game he
Patriots,
played would have
Jets,
been
and
the
Bills.
Jets. Yeah, so the game he played would have been against the Jets because you know he didn't play much the first game. The second game is what you play more of. Third game, they pretty much all took a break.
So I
So
heard.
so to do that, even the second Jets defense coming out and I'll give you his numbers in a second here, but coming out against the Jets defense and doing that, even if it's the second, the second tier Jets defenders, I'll still give some credence to that. I'm just saying I think Bryce Young will be a whole lot better.
Okay. All right. I ain't pressed too hard on it.
He's the number one pick for a reason.
We've seen those go badly before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the number one pick.
yeah,
No doubt about that.
yeah.
We've seen those go poorly.
Yes, we have.
Jamarcus Russell,
Yes, we have.
he just called me.
Well, one thing's for sure, it can't get much worse, can it, for the Carolina Panthers than it did in
No, it can't get
2023?
worse. It can't get worse.
I don't think it can get much worse. So we'll see. Hey, this is the surprise pick of the week, of the day, of the season so far. Terrance Smith just said that the Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South. I think the Buccaneers won last year with 10 or 11 wins.
I
So,
wonder
I
how
mean,
Vegas feels about that right now.
That's a
I
good
wonder
question.
how Vegas going to do
That's a
now.
really good question. Because let me tell you, I have been so
Yeah, I
far
wonder.
removed from FanDuel and DraftKings, and I got to wrap my head back around it because I do have a goal of hitting them for about 50,000 this year. I have this goal every year, by the way. So I got to wrap my head
Let's
back around
go.
this goal
Let's go
because I'm
get
a
them.
very goal oriented person.
I understand. I actually cashed my first bet of the season last night. I took a halftime flyer on Boston College to cover plus 1.5. They won by 15. So yeah, won a solid $8.70 off a $10 free bet.
Wow.
Hey, there you go. There you
Hey,
go.
we starting in the positive, baby. That's all I'm looking for. We starting positive.
The professional gambling of Nick Ely and Terry Smith. Okay, so look, the NFC South is officially a wrap. I have Atlanta. Nick has Atlanta. And surprisingly, Terrance has Carolina. We'll see. Now, shifting gears here to the NFC West. Nick, you're the NFC guy. Start it off from top to bottom or from bottom to top. I mean, who you got in the West?
So again, as I tipped my hand a little bit earlier, I've got the Cardinals there at the bottom of that division. I do think that the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be helpful. Yeah, I think they'll be a better. I think with some continuity and some health, they'll be a better team than they were last year. James Conner is still, a pretty decent running back to have back there. But I got the Cardinals at the bottom of that division. Jarvis, I hope we're still friends behind this. I've got the 49ers finishing third in that division. I think that
Yeah,
the 49ers are going to have some Super Bowl hangover. I think they're going to have some health issues considering that, CMC is already coming in. He's just getting back to practice this week. And then of course you got the two big ones, Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, that have been out all summer while they were trying to get their money. So I think you got some potential for some slippage there. I'm going 49ers third in that division. Top of this division, I also kind of went back and forth with it, like I did with the South. But I'm going Seahawks at 2 and Rams at 1. I'm taking the Rams to win it. I think the Seahawks. I think it'll be one that'll come down to the end of the season. If I saw correctly, I think the Rams and Seahawks either close the season or play like Week 16 against each other, something like that. I could see that game being essentially the clincher for the division, being the decider. But I'm taking the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford. I think there's been a lot of media swell really for Matthew Stafford in general, just kind of the appreciation for him. And he certainly has been a very good to arguably great quarterback for a long time at this point. I think 17 years in the league at this point. Got a Super Bowl under his belt. Obviously, with Aaron Donald out, there's a big gap in the middle of that Rams defense that's missing that I don't give a damn what you do. You can't fill it. But you can try to patchwork it and do the best you can with it. And really, the more I'm even talking to myself now, I'm almost wanting to flip that back to the Seahawks, and put the Seahawks at the top of the division. I mean, I think it's really that tight between those two teams. And so I think week 16 or 17, whatever week that is, that they are scheduled to play, I think that's going to be a deciding factor for them
Yeah.
or for that
So
division.
I had a fantasy draft about 2 weeks ago, and I was in like the seventh or eighth round, and maybe later than that, and DK Metcalf was still there. And it dawned on me, like, have people forgotten how good this dude is, and better yet, how good he can be? I like the other young receiver they have. Y'all, if I butcher his name, in Jigba, did I say that right?
Jackson Smith and Jigba, yeah.
In Jigba, okay, all right. I
Jackson
really
Smith
like.
and Jigba, yeah.
Thank you. I'm not calling his whole name. In Jigba. Uh, I'm gonna be like Charles Barkley trying to pronounce Giannis Antetokounmpo, but no, I like that guy's game. I like what they can do offensively. I'll get back to them in a second. I think we're all in consensus here about Arizona. I think Arizona will definitely be at the bottom of that division. Although I do think you will see flashes from Arizona of the team they might be in the next year or two or three. Uh, but I still think that division right now with San Fran and LA and Seattle there, I don't see how Arizona can make that ground up. But they won't be terrible, but they'll just be at the bottom of that division. Um, I'm not going to do what Nick did, but I am going to put the Rams there. And I'm going to say this, all right? So Nick just outright has San Fran there and in third place. But what I'm saying is they might be in third, but they might be tied for second, right? Like I really think 3 through 1. We're going to be talking about this division possibly being one of the better divisions in football because I don't think San Fran is going anywhere. They pretty much have the same team. Now, I will say Jarvis says they're going to have a Super Bowl hangover. I will give credence to that. Jarvis knows that team better than anybody. Probably any fan knows any team in the country. Now, I'm not even exaggerating. That dude, he's got some kind of inside information that I don't even. Oh, they're 49er fan base. This is what they do. Um, so 3-2. I'm gonna say that Rams and 49ers will be tied for second, or it might come between a game in there. But I am going to actually go with Seattle to win that division just because I think they're going to have a explosive offense this year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I
So
saw I saw flashes of
again,
it last year, man. I forgot which game it was, but that in Jigba, man, he was tough to stop, and Metcalf is still a bad dude over there. So I can very much see Seattle um, still in the division this year.
yeah, I can remember that receiving core giving Dallas some fits, even though Dallas was able to hang in there and get the win.
Yeah.
Seattle gave them a great third game later on in the season, as we were getting toward the playoff mode. But yeah, me and Nick once again agree with two divisions straight now. We both got Atlanta winning the South, and we both have the Rams winning the West. I picked the Rams yesterday to win the West. I think I had already kind of gave that out when we came back here Saturday with our premiere
Yeah.
episode. Uh, the Super Bowl hangover, like I said, it just seems like everything is feeling rushed. From Christian McCaffrey coming back to practice, Trent Williams, hey, hurry up and pay me. Like we gotta go. I'm ready now. It's game time. Let's go. Brandon Ayuk, all right, let's go. Like we're here. But it's how long it took, the
Will they miss the
drama.
playoffs?
Um, will they miss the playoffs? Well, as
Yeah.
I said before, T, they're just a high ankle sprain or a pulled hamstring away from missing the playoffs. Yeah, they very well could. I can't
Debo is
see
guaranteed to pull that hamstring.
guaranteed, damn near guaranteed to do something, or hurt his shoulder, or do something because of his style of play. But then when it's time to get paid, which he won't in San Francisco again next year, when all the guaranteed money's gone. And by the way, they restructured his contract too today. If anybody's wondering how the hell did Trent Williams get paid, well, Debo restricted his contract, as he should, because he ain't worth the wide receiver money that he gets. And he actually got paid at that time wide receiver one money, and he's not even a wide receiver. I think we all can agree to that now. Doesn't sound like hate
No, we
now,
can't.
does it? Some people
No,
thought I
we,
was
we
crazy.
can't agree to that.
Huh?
We can't agree to that. You said Debo's not a wide receiver?
Not really, no. No. When does he
No,
make wide receiver plays?
no, we can't agree to that.
Okay, all right. I'll let you continue to watch. My eyes have seen enough. It's been like 5 years. I've seen enough. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you're looking at, but this is the same guy that you said a few years ago was like just a better Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin wasn't a wide receiver, really, was he? So no, he's not. I think you said that yourself. You just maybe you forgot that you said it. I'm not sure, but no, from what I see, Brandon Ayuk is the complete receiver. Debo doesn't even really run routes. When he does, he never really gets behind a lot of the corners, and they don't even have to be number one corners. So that's why he gets in his feelings when people like Bradbury text the things that they tweet. About him when they say he's not really a true number one. Now,
you just say he's not a number one wide receiver. You're not saying he's not a wide receiver.
I'm saying he's not really a wide receiver. No, he's really not. He's not. He's definitely not a number one, but he's not really a wide receiver. Let's be honest.
I'll take that he's not a number one, but
he's a wide
receiver.
Don't we see him line up in the backfield more than we see him line up out wide?
No, I wouldn't say more. We see him do that more than any other receiver in football.
Does he make plays? Does he make that wide lined up as a wide receiver, or does he do that out of the backfield?
Varies.
It's mostly out of the backfield.
I think there's a perception bias there. So because he does that more than any other receiver in football, then you look at it as that's all he does. But I don't think that's all he does. I think he just does it more than anybody else does.
Well, considering that's all he does when it comes down to making plays, big plays for the Niners and getting in the end zone, that's 75% of how he does it. And that's all he did at South Carolina as a Gamecock. So what do you want me to think here? I'm going by what I've seen for the past 7 years. NFL and college. On the collegiate level and the professional level, this is what he does. Maybe this is all he's good at. I'm just saying, maybe. Maybe that's all he's good at. Is he a threat, a weapon? Hell yes, when he's healthy. But because of the way he plays, which is the only way he can play, I think, he's suspect to get injured. And with these guys missing camp and just not showing up, they tweak something or pull something or twist something too. And their season is over. So that's why I just think it's going to be very hard to overcome all of the odds of staying healthy for 2 straight years. That's something that hasn't really happened under Shanahan's watch. Not 2 years in a row. This just has 2020 season written all over it. But again, I hope I'm wrong. Of course I hope I'm wrong. But I think the Rams are back. My reasons for the Niners window closing or close is because the rest of the NFC got better. They didn't stay stagnant or decline. It's actually gotten better. The Lions were 1/2 away from the Super Bowl. The Lions and the Packers really beat the 49ers last year in the postseason. I could see the Niners finishing 10-7, 11-6, crawling into the postseason, and then maybe making a run if they can get back healthy or if they can just start to get it together. They're probably going to start to jail a little bit late here. I'm not sure. But I know one thing. Brock Purdy is the happiest man alive right now. Because if Trent Williams doesn't do this restructure of his contract, he's getting killed Monday night against the Jets. He really probably would. But anyway, yeah. I got the
now that we can agree on.
I'm not mad at all. They're top heavy. One injury or two, that's very well how it could go. But they are capable of going back. It's going to be a lot of work to do that again.
I don't see it.
I hope I'm wrong, but I think they might have blew it. But it would be nice if they could get it done, because then you could tell Brock Purdy, yeah, you just won us a Super Bowl, but I don't want to give you $60 million. What are you going to do about it? We won the Super Bowl. You want to stay or you want to go? You want to play for a Super Bowl team or you want to go somewhere? But if they lose, this team, the band is going to have to break up. This is absolutely the last season they can go with everybody being paid on this roster. After this season, it has to blow up just a little.
Hey, Jarvis, you got to tell him one time, man. Hey, we can't pay you. So if you want to leave, what does he got? What does he have to get?
What does he have to get?
He's got to get his hat and grab. You already got your hat. Get your coat.
Got your hat. Get your coat. Kyle Shanahan, if he doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, I think we're going to have to come back to the drawing board and say, hey, he's had 8 years. Maybe he just can't find the quarterback. Maybe he has to swallow and bite the bullet and go ahead and go get a veteran, whoever that would be. And I hate to say a name like Dak Prescott or somebody like that. They couldn't even if they can pay Dak, they can pay. But It just seems that he should have got the veteran quarterback. And he's had 8 years to find it out, figure it out, and he hasn't done it. All right, so we've got the West and we've got the South out of the way. NFC East. Nick, this is your division, man. This is you. This is you right here, buddy. As if we don't know where he's going to have.
Unsurprisingly, this was the easiest division for me to pick all the way through, so I'll run through this one quickly. I got the Giants at the bottom because Daniel Jones is a terrible quarterback. He's not good. I think Malik Neighbors is going to be, hopefully, is going to be a great receiver one day. It's going to be really hard to do that with a quarterback that's that bad. I got the Commanders at 3. I think the Commanders are making some moves in the right direction. I think they could even potentially push for number 2, but I think they're I'd say pretty solid at number 3. The Cowboys I've got at number 2. I think, obviously CeeDee Lamb just now getting into camp or getting into the facility and getting ready to roll is a big part of what has them potentially looking at dropping to 3, not to mention whatever effects on team chemistry and all of that may have been coming from the money that Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons haven't gotten to this point. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a calf injury, maybe there's a little tweak here and this there, and I don't want to be out here and whatever else. And I got the Eagles at number 1. I think we've had the best offseason, arguably, of any team in the league. We've gotten all our guys paid. Everybody's happy. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to roll. Obviously, we had the issues that we had last year. We got rid of those, that being those coordinators that we had. Brought some guys in I think we got a lot of faith in. We ready to roll. Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants in that order.
Yeah, you're right, Nick. This is a very easy division to pick. As far as I'm concerned, the New York Football Giants are already on the clock for next year's draft. That's just how little faith I have in Daniel Jones. That's how little faith I have in that organization. The fact that Daniel Jones got paid and so many other quarterbacks and players have to hold out. They let Saquon walk to the Eagles, and they paid Daniel Jones. To me, that should get you sent to hell. It's just that egregious. That should get you a one-way ticket straight to hell. You got to say that in Vince McMahon's voice. To hell.
And you got to understand how strong or weak of a sentence that is coming from Terrance.
Absolutely.
Could kind of go either way.
And I mean it. So Giants at the very bottom. Commanders will be better, but still not as good as those 2 teams that are going to be at the top. And I think those 2 teams will be pretty good. Cowboys, to me, are just not quite as good as the Eagles. And I'm just going to pick the Eagles away because I think the Eagles are still a good team. The only thing I will say about the Eagles, Jarvis and I saw something last year that Nick didn't want to admit. That team has a slight diva problem. And by diva, I do mean that big wide receiver they have in Brown. Now, brother AJ is one of the best in the league. I like AJ, but what I saw in the first week of last year when Jalen Hurts was cooking, Devontae Smith was catching balls all over the field, he got upset, legitimately. His team is on the field, they're winning by a lot, and he's still upset because he's not getting the ball. Those types of emotions don't just go away. They fester. And I know he got paid again. The Eagles will pay you. But I still feel like at some point we are going to see that rear his ugly head again, and hopefully it doesn't cost the Eagles any confidence or any play on the field. But I do believe we'll see it again. Hopefully, just not at the wrong time.
That sounds good. I don't see. I mean, there was a little bit of.
He still won't admit it. Still won't admit it.
I'm not concerned. I like that level of want to and competitiveness out of my team, particularly out of a receiver.
Not while you're winning.
I think everybody.
No, not while you're winning.
Right. Fair, but I think everybody knows who AJ is in terms of that he's a competitor, that he wants to get his for sure, as every receiver does, every good receiver should. It's like if you ask me to grade a 1 to 10 of my level of worry, 1.5, 2. Like I don't see that becoming an issue. If we went down the tank, then maybe if we look up 8 weeks into the season and we're 3-5, and AJ's got 25 catches on the year, 30 catches on the year, then yeah, you'll probably see a lot of that. But I'd expect that out of anybody. Past that, if we do what I expect us to do, is 8 weeks into the season we're 6-2, 7-1, and everything's pretty much rolling. Man, whatever.
Okay.
I
All
got
right.
you.
So that's it. Nick has, of course, the Eagles to win the NFC East. What a surprise. And Terrance has the Eagles to win the NFC
I do have
East.
the Eagles. Yes, yes,
Uh,
absolutely.
and my pick was, again, the Giants at the bottom. Go back and listen to the episode. I picked the Commanders to win the East. And
Nick
I know
Wright.
that's fiction, but it's not any more bold than Terrance picking the Panthers to win the South. I mean, I don't know. I think it's possible that it can happen.
It kind of is because there's nobody in the South as good as the Eagles or the Cowboys for that matter. And I don't even like saying that.
On paper, but they have to play these football games, and I think the Atlanta Falcons can
Those
win
are
11.
facts.
The Falcons may win 11, maybe even 12 games this year because nobody sees
Terry,
it coming.
scary Terry McLaurin might be the most underrated player I've ever seen.
He was underrated until this season when Jaden McDaniels brings all of the greatness that he's had in that mason jar. He's about to let the top off and just let it out.
Yeah,
That's what Jaden McDaniels does. That's what Jaden
yeah.
Daniels does. And I think that he, with nobody really having any film on him, will be the reason why people won't see it coming. The Commanders could really take the East by storm. The Cowboys are taking a step back. The Eagles, they are good on paper. They're good, period. I just think that they'll get it their way, in their own way. Just like in 04, 05. I mean, 05. 04 was great with T.O. and McNabb, and then 05 happened. And he was doing crunches in his yard, in the driveway, and he was told he couldn't come back to the team, and the rest of the season was a disaster. That was an ego problem. That was a diva problem. And not only that, Nick, you're not talking about your head coach, Nick Sirianni, and Jalen Hurts. That's the biggest topic of the offseason. Not to mention that Fletcher Cox is retired, Jason Kelsey is retired, Kellen Moore is your offensive coordinator. You're just going to sweep all of this stuff under the rug and act like there's no problem at all because why?
Absolutely. And I tell you, I'll answer those very quickly and tell you why. Jason Kelsey handpicked his replacement already. That's Landon Dickerson, not Cam Jurgens. Fletcher Cox was really more veteran leadership at this point in his career, anyways, more than he was actual field contribution. Kellen Moore, I feel much better about as an offensive coordinator than I did the guy we had last, Brian Johnson. And the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts thing is kind of irrelevant as long as we're winning games.
And unless Jason Kelsey gave whoever this replacement is some of his magic juice, and he can actually step into a chamber and walk out of that chamber and beat
He
Jason
handpicked
Kelsey,
his replacement 3 years ago.
he can
2 years
handpick him
ago.
all he wants.
He didn't necessarily hand him
Kelsey,
magic juice. He's been training him for 2 years.
but he's not him. You can train all you want. He's not him unless he's a clone.
He's been playing right guard. It's not like he's walking in not knowing what he's doing. He's been playing right guard and playing well. He's just moving over to center now. The guy can play. I'm fine with our replacement. Don't get me wrong. Yes, I would love to have Jason Kelsey. Jason Kelsey is one of the greatest centers to ever play football.
Right.
But am I bothered by the guy we brought in? No, I'm good. I've seen him. I've seen what he was doing while Jason was here. I'd imagine Jason's been in his ear saying, "Hey, I'm getting you ready to do what I'm doing." He's ready to roll. I think that is a level of continuity. Like that would be like if Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers actually got it. Brett Favre actually helped Aaron Rodgers and they got along. Like imagine how much further and faster. Actually, it might have been worse because Brett Favre is Brett Favre. But in theory, imagine how much further that would have taken Aaron Rodgers if Brett Favre actually was invested in helping him.
I just think that Jason Kelsey is in a league of his own, and he's a future
First ballot Hall of Fame. They can start building his bus right now. Absolutely.
Those are some mighty big shoes to fill. I don't give a damn if he's been recruiting this guy for 5 years. He ain't him when you get done. It's going to take some time to replace that at that position. And from what I'm hearing, the lack of whatever it is that Jalen Hurts is missing is going to show more without that center. That's all I'm saying. That's just me now. I could be wrong. Right?
Talk to me in a few weeks.
Sometimes. Yes, I've been wrong before. We'll revisit this around Halloween.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
We'll see
how long it takes you to see it.
And all these other people that you're talking about. Yeah, we'll see. Nick Sirianni will probably be fired by then if it goes down like I think it may go down. But again, roster to win 13, 12 games. 11 at the worst. If these things don't become a factor like I'm talking about. And I think that will happen, and that's why I got the Commanders. Let's move on to the last one, the NFC North. This is, in my mind, the best division in the NFC. I think the North is great from top to bottom. It's just that, guys, look, the Minnesota Vikings are not bad on Madden. I don't know if anybody knows that or not. Sam Darnold literally has like all day in the pocket to throw the football. Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson. Most people would say top 3, if not the best. Okay? And Addison is good.
Yep.
You've got Aaron Jones now in the backfield over there, running like he's still in Green Bay. And you've got Brian Flores leading his defense. The Vikings are at the bottom probably, but they not a bad bottom. I don't know. That's just my take. The NFC North is stacked from top to bottom, in my opinion. I know y'all got the Bears being better. I know y'all got the Lions being good again. So, yeah. Give me your take. Nick, start with you first. NFC North, from top to bottom, or bottom to top, how do you have the NFC North playing out? I don't know what y'all are laughing at. I just...
That's what
I'm Jarvis.
Hey, Jarvis, I'll put it like this. We'll tell you off air.
Yeah. I'll figure
Is this something
it.
I said?
Yeah.
It's something I said in response to something you said.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, in the NFC North, though, we're going to wrap it up.
Make sure you clip that one, Terrance. That's got to go in the blooper reel or something at least.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Who you got?
Yeah.
Bottom of the top?
NFC North. I agree with you. I got the Vikings at the bottom of that division, and it's tentative. I mean, like this whole division could flip 100 different ways. However many different ways 4 teams can be in order, they can flip all those ways. But right now, I've got the Vikings at the bottom. I've got the Bears at third. I've got the Packers coming in second, and I got the Lions at the top of it. Like I said, it could go 100 different ways. If we look up, halfway through the season, and the Packers are on top, and the Vikings are second, and the Lions are third, and the Bears are fourth, I won't be shocked. If we look up and the Bears are first, and the Vikings are second, and the Packers are third, it could go any of those ways. There's a lot of, to me, the biggest certainty is the most certain, I guess, would probably be the Lions, just because they have the most continuity, they have the most returning that they had a year ago. Probably them and the Packers are probably really right in that same spot. The Packers obviously finished last season pretty hot. The Lions finished pretty hot before they fell apart in the NFC Championship game. So I think there's a lot of potential for a lot of turnover and a lot of movement in that division. I also think it's very possible you get 3 playoff teams out of that division. Just kind of depending on how things shake out. So. But as of now, I'll go Lions at the top, Packers second, Bears third, Vikings last.
Well, let me ask y'all something. Outside of Caleb Williams, who did the Bears sign to make me want to believe they're going to all of a sudden be a good team? And that's an honest question. Who?
Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, drafted Roma Dunze.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, Keenan Allen.
I don't know what they did. Here's it. I don't know what they did with the offensive line.
Did the Bears add anyone on defense?
I don't know.
I'm not sure, but Nick got to.
They added a safety, I think.
But to answer your question, Terrance, he gave you quite a few players.
Yeah, but I think he also answered the question in the way that I wanted to be answered. They didn't address that offensive line, and
I don't know what they did there. So I will say that.
Right, I don't think that the Bears' problem was Justin Fields. I don't really think it was their skill players to an extent. They could have been better. Keenan Allen is an upgrade for sure. And y'all can roll back the tapes. I wanted my Ravens to get Keenan Allen. I have a strong respect for Keenan Allen's play. And if Terry McLaurin is the most underrated, Keenan Allen is right behind him. And Keenan Allen is got top 5 talent, right?
He's been underrated like that for a long time.
Top 5 talent and top 1 toughness. I don't think there's a receiver tougher than Keenan Allen. But so I just don't think that's going to be enough.
Deebo Samuel, like that.
He's not a receiver according to Jarvis. He doesn't count.
That's why I said it.
uh, I just don't think the Bears are going to be good enough at the offensive line to protect Caleb Williams. Um, I think they're going to have the same problems they had with Justin Fields. So I'm going to put them at the bottom. I don't trust Sam Darnold. So I'm putting
I don't
Minnesota
either.
right behind them. Now, this division, the marquee matchup in this division is Green Bay versus Detroit. And the question is, who's going to be better? I just think Detroit has a little bit more athleticism, a little bit more. Detroit just really has an energy about them that I like.
They have a
And
few
I
stars.
and yeah. And listen, Green Bay has some. Josh Jacobs could be a difference maker. Josh Jacobs could be a difference
Absolutely.
maker. That he led the league in rushing. Who leads the league in rushing and then plays for another team the next year? Like, come on, Las Vegas, get it together, man.
That
I
is
just don't
And he led the
understand
league in
that
rushing on a bad team, by the way.
on a
that
bad
is
team,
true.
they know he's running the ball.
Plays for another team the next year. That's Josh Jacobs in Green Bay. That
Josh
is
Jacobs.
that's
So
that's a
I
weird
am going
stat.
to, yeah, I'm going to pick Detroit, but I'm going to pick them very reluctantly because I also have a lot of respect for what Green Bay does out there. But I'm going to enjoy those teams playing against each other. Can we? Is that a Thanksgiving game this year? Does anybody know? Because for so many years, Detroit on Thanksgiving was a joke, but now we need them.
Oh, definitely.
So, but now we need them.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pick
Not
Detroit and Green Bay in second. But that like Nick was saying, that could be 1-2, 2-1. Who knows? But I do think we see both of those teams in the postseason, barring any kind of crazy injury. But I'm going with Detroit.
So I think we got the North pretty much the same, except Terrance has the Bears at the bottom and the Vikings at 3. We have the
Yeah.
Vikings at 4 and the Bears, me
Yeah.
and Knicks. Pretty much the same right there. Who cares about the bottom half? It's the bottom half. We pretty much got everything on the same
I'm
page.
I'm gonna say this like Stephen A. Smith would say in terms of my NFC North list. The list is fluid. The list is fluid.
It's
So
fluid.
this is fluid.
All right.
Everything else you can pretty much pencil in. This one I'm like, man, look,
And
we
it's a good
can
list.
look up and we might think the Bears are a legit Super Bowl contender by halfway
Yeah.
through the season. I doubt it, but I could see it.
So that's
Right.
it for the predictions for the NFC. We did the West, the South, the East, and the North. It's a wrap. We've got new winners with the Falcons, some of us, and the Panthers with Terrance. The West, me and Nick got the Rams, and Terrance has the Seahawks. So everybody's different. Nobody believes the 49ers are going to do it. Maybe because of that they will. I'm not going to lie. I looked at their schedule this morning, and I'm like, damn. I talk about how this game is rigged and it's scripted. It certainly looks like it's in the Niners' favor to somehow still win 11, 12 games this year. It just looks like their favor. There's a lot of favoritism to their road trips, who they play when they play it, the scheduling. Not a lot of high mileage. They got a road trip where they play Green Bay and Buffalo, but they do it in back-to-back weeks on the road. I can remember a time they would make them go home and play Green Bay and go all the way back to Buffalo the very next week and play them and come back. But it kind of works out in their favor, but we'll see. Trent Williams, speaking of the 49ers again, real quick, they finally got his extension done, or restructured, I should say. Trent Williams and the 49ers agreed on a 3-year restructured contract totaling $82.6 million, according to his agency. It gets him $48 million at signing, $48 million at the signing bonus, and $27.6 million in cash in year 1. That's a done deal. Trent Williams, and I see Nick making these faces. You really about to make a funny face now.
Oh no, that's a bad boy. No, I ain't got nothing to say about Trent Williams, but damn, he got paid. That's all I got to say about that. That's a bad boy.
But I got one more for you that's really going to do it even a little bit harder. Well, check this out. Trent Williams is on track to earn over $350 million in his career.
And he earned every penny.
Huh?
And he earned every
Agreed.
penny. That's a bad boy.
And he did.
Agreed.
The 49ers also
He earned every penny. And probably left a couple on the table.
Yeah. The Niners also restructured Debo's contract to create that cap space. And now the boys are back in town, and they're trying to run it back. We will see. Everybody's back for the Niners. Pretty much the same team. A few ins and outs on the defense, but we'll see. New coordinator, new staff on that part. We'll see how the replacement of Steve Wilkes goes on the defensive side. But one thing's for sure, nothing will change with Kyle Shanahan and his predictable offense and how they'll just run the ball down your throat until everybody gets injured. And then he'll forget how to do the running when they get January. The Ravens did that same thing last year. Just have you ever seen anything like it? And you're supposed to make me think it's real. We run the ball all year long. We're number one, baby. And then we forget how to do that when it's cold outside. When I was growing up as a kid, they said that's when you run the ball more, when it's cold outside. The Niners and the Ravens like to stop doing that, in January. That's pretty much it. That's all I've got. I just want to ask you all one question before we get out of here. Real quick, Nick, Terrance. I'm going to start with Terrance first since he's the AFC guy. Nick, you can come right back in and follow, and we'll close. Who is the one team that is the biggest challenge to the Kansas City Chiefs from three-peating this year?
The easy answer is my Ravens. I mean, you're talking about a team that probably should have beaten them last year had they ran the ball in the cold. This year it looks like they're going to run the ball. My only question is, what do the receivers want to look like? That's never a good thing to me. But kudos to Jerry Sneed. He's talked about it on I forgot the name of the podcast, The Pivot. The play he made literally
I
won
saw
the
him
game.
on Ryan Clark and them, yeah.
Yeah, the play he made in the end zone on Flowers won the game, in my opinion, for Kansas City. If Flowers gets into that end zone, I think Baltimore wins that game. So to answer your question, to be simple about it, I think my Ravens are the biggest threat.
Good answer. I like it.
I think the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs three-peating is the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's great that the Ravens added Derrick Henry. I think it's great that the Eagles added Saquon Barkley. I think I think the Lions coming back another year are going to be good. I think, like I said earlier, I think the 49ers may not be on the same level that they have been. I think Miami may even take another step forward and be a threat. But I was watching. I saw a segment earlier. I think it was yesterday on Get Up where Damian Woody was talking, and he was like, "Man, there's gonna be so many guys that just, that in any other era would probably win Super Bowls that just aren't gonna get them because they got to deal with this guy. It's like dealing with Michael Jordan in the '90s. It's like dealing with Kobe and Shaq in the 2000s. It's like dealing with LeBron in the 2010s. LeBron or Steph, I guess, whichever one." You can be as great as you want to be. We be having a different conversation about Kevin Durant if not for LeBron James. We be having a different conversation about maybe a Tim Duncan or a Tracy McGrady or an Allen Iverson if not for Kobe. We be having a different conversation about Karl Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon and whoever else if not for Michael Jordan. And I think that's what Patrick Mahomes is. He is that level of guy where, whether it be Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, whoever else you want to put in that conversation of guys that, when we look back 10, 15 years from now and say these were the guys for that era of football, they are going to have a lesser role in the story of the history of football because of Patrick Mahomes. So I think the biggest threat to them is themselves, whether it's age and attrition, injury, the defense not being quite what it was, like you said, with L'Jarius Sneed gone, whatever the case is. I think they're really their own biggest threat in that regard. And it's hard. I hate to say that with somebody who also has Chiefs family members, and somebody that is a fan of a team that is a legit contender and may possibly see them again in the Super Bowl. They're their own biggest problem.
All right. Great answer from both of you. I like Terrance's answer. The Ravens, the biggest threat. If they ran the ball last year in January, they would have probably beat them. Nick, even another good answer. The Chiefs. He thinks that the Chiefs is the only team that can stop the Chiefs. And that's another good one. Patrick Mahomes never suffers injuries. They never have any key injuries. They just always get lucky, healthy. And they weren't the best team last year. I think we can all agree. But when it matters the most, they've got the player, the quarterback, the coach to find a way to do it when it matters the most. And they've done it for 2 straight years. I think we can all agree when we say the Niners and the Eagles had them beat. But yet still, the Chiefs were the best.
Somehow, some way. Buffalo a few years ago.
And that's why that was a great answer from you as well.
Buffalo a few years ago. Got them down 13 seconds on their own 20-yard line.
Yeah. Well, we've had our chances the past few years, Nick. You had it in 22. I had a shot at 23. Maybe in 24, Terrance can get a lick, can get him some, and he'll finally get maybe he'll be
the only one that's pulled it off that's still in the league is Joe Burrow.
He's the only one, and he didn't get a
And
Super
they
Bowl
can't get
victory.
their receiver signed. So
He should have got a Super Bowl victory out of it too.
yeah, because they can't get Jamar signed now. So now what?
Is Jamar going to play Week 1? Is he playing?
I don't. He has
I don't
not
think so.
practicing.
He has not practiced, not one day.
Wow. He practiced one. No, what happened was he practiced one day last week, and then head coach got in the media and was like, "Yeah, I'm expecting him to practice to be a full participant, and then get ready to play." And the next day he showed up 20 minutes late in shorts and t-shirt. Like, nigga, I don't know who you thought I was.
Yeah, you got me effed up. That's exactly what he said. Yeah, probably the agent told him to do it too. I don't know, but yeah, the head coach definitely spoke a little too soon. I'm sure he's regretting that.
We'll talk about them tomorrow.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah, AFC tomorrow, baby. AFC South. We'll start with the South. Then we'll go to the West. Then we'll go to the East. And I think the North is still the best in football. And it really depends on what the Steelers can do at quarterback and that O-line and what Deshaun Watson is going to bring to the table for Cleveland. We will also try to preview the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys for Week 1 Sunday, 49ers and Jets on Monday night. But we will have to give you the two games, and I think these are two really good games. Packers and Eagles Friday night, but first Chiefs and Ravens on Thursday night. That's a AFC Championship rematch. Lamar Jackson said it's just another game. He just wants to win. I like it. You can't talk revenge stuff. It's Week 1. If the Ravens win, it means nothing. If the Ravens lose, in my mind, it means nothing. It's Week 1. So I liked his answer on that, and I got Lamar's back this year. They're riding him a little more than usual. And that just tells me that's something people should think about. Like, yes, if anybody can three-peat, it's the Chiefs. But they're riding the Ravens and Lamar a little too hard. I think it's a good story. I think they're going to prove everybody wrong. And I think this is going to be one of his Flacco seasons. Prove it. He's got the money already, but it's like, all right, watch this. And I think this is the year he does it. He's gotten very thin again, and they say he looks like he did in Louisville again. So we will see how the season goes. I'll tell you one thing, the receivers should be happy as hell that Derrick Henry's in that backfield. He's going to make their life so much better in Baltimore. Derrick Henry being in there. And for the people that saying Derrick Henry is still not the same Derrick Henry, all right, we'll see. We'll see about that. He's playing with a team with a much better coordinator, much better talent, much better offensive line, and they won't stack the box with 8 or 9 people. And if they do, Lamar's going to make them pay. Mark Andrews is going to make them pay.
Saquon Barkley.
Somebody's going to make them pay. This is going to be interesting to see. I just want some of this Lamar hate to stop. That's all. I think he's the baddest boy in the league when you're not just talking about the quarterback position. All right, we're almost at an hour. Went a little overtime, but we're done. Great show, guys. We'll be back tomorrow for the AFC predictions. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Go back and listen to my predictions along with these as well. It's the Great Debate Show. Rate, review, follow, and we're available wherever you get your podcast. For anybody watching on all of the social media platforms that this video will be airing on. All right, that's it for me. I'm done. Anything else, guys?
Hey, that's it on my end.
I'm gonna explain that joke to you shortly. What Terrance was asking about.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, we're out. Thank you. Y'all be
Peace.
safe.